Hey, what's up, Liron here. Welcome to episode 87 of Painting Masters. Today we're going to look at works by Wu Sih Shian. Hopefully I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Now, before we get started, you can already see one of the paintings there on the screen. I would say a lot of scenes from Taipei and then some international scenes as well, but definitely for me, the scenes from Taipei, for some reason, were the ones that stuck out. Maybe it was because these were the first ones I discovered. Now, I'm not actually sure which, where, for example, this one is from, or where each and every painting we're going to look at is from, but the overall impression that I get is just, it's fantastic. So this, if I recall, this was the first painting I saw. And what immediately captivated me about his paintings is the colors. The colors are actually a little different from what I'm used to seeing, and the way he uses them and mixes them. It's going to become more apparent later on. But a lot of the green undertones and those lemony yellows, it's just things I'm not seeing much of. So when I look at the overall composition, the overall way the colors interact, and the use of edges, it all comes together into a masterpiece. This is the thing I love most about his work. So if you look at, for example, very practically speaking, the bottom area here, right? In the shadow, which is quite blue, right? You have these lines on the street that are usually yellow, but here they're a little green. You see, it's those green touches, these green touches in the shadow that I don't see as much of, which I find very interesting. Now, one more thing is about how he paints. The use of highlights, to me, it appears like they were added after the fact, but you see this highlight here on the head, you see these highlights, these little dots. Also in the foliage, there's a lot of these little dots here on the building as well. I quite like it. It gives it almost a wet look, and the way they smear around. I'm not sure if he's spraying after putting them in or just the way the brush leaves that mark is something I find very graceful. I don't know anything about how he paints, but it's just something I noticed. Another scene, I would say, I think based on the writing, this is somewhere in the east, far east, I don't know, something like that. It looks like kanji letters or something like that. It's those scenes that I enjoy the most. I think the views are the most foreign to me, even though I've been to some similar places, but the views are the most foreign to me, and I think he's able to capture something really special there. Again, this blue-green everywhere, right? It's very interesting, and I always like to highlight the things that do feel different compared to other painters that could be considered similar. You know, impressionistic cityscapes, but there's so much unique here in the use of opaque paint over details. Of course, some of it is the paper, either previous washes, like this yellowy wash. I think what you see here is that wash from earlier, but a lot of it looks like drops of paint with the brush opaquely after the fact, which I quite like. One more interesting thing we can talk about is his cars. I really like them. There's something here you can see, this way of simplifying the front, making it very square, it feels very compact. And you know, when we were in Vietnam, and I don't think these are the same views at all, but like the cars there were small, and it really reminds me of that. Lots of cyclists too. I think it's just common in a lot of countries, more to the east. And that's something you see here, like tons of motorcycles. Even though this could very well be somewhere like in the US, or you know, it could be something like that too. So I don't know, I really like that compact shape of cars. I find it really, really cute. Now, I do want to talk a bit about the colors again, because as I mentioned, lots of unique and interesting colors. You get the prime example of it here when you look at these pink sky and those greenish, violety greens and blues. This is fantastic. This is, to me, a bit of a brave color combination, not something I would often try. This usually comes down to preference. The reason he's painting like this and I don't is just the colors he's using, he selected for use, or just the colors he kind of settled on using are different. And so the way they mix is different. And of course, there's the understanding of color theory and how to mix them together and how to build a pleasing composition with them. But I think a lot of it comes down to the personal choice of colors you like and the personal choices of the mixes you enjoy. And I think he got that down amazingly unique. Not just good looking, but also quite unique. I can very easily tell his paintings apart from many other artists. One more thing I want to put an emphasis on is the foliage and the great use of shapes within it. Foliage can be very confusing. Sometimes it's about simplifying what you see. Sometimes it's about being accurate to what you see. There's a lot of it going on depending on what you feel like doing, honestly, not anything else. And you know, the way he creates these gaps for the trees to look a little lighter and then the foliage looks a little darker, where the foliage starts and where it ends, it's very clear. There's a decision making there, and there's there's clarity in the decision of where to place things. Look at these large leaves of what looks like palm trees. This is really cool. These brush marks are very unique, right? It's very masterful portrayal of foliage in general. Another scene that is one of the first ones I've seen personally. I absolutely like this. Here we can zoom in a bit more. The quality is a little better. Again, everything is simplified really nicely, but the main thing I'm noticing is dots. Lots of dots, dots of yellow, red, blue, white. Lots of, some of it I'm sure is paper white, but a lot of it is just added. Look at this guy raising his hand. This attention to people, and we will see some people zoomed out later on, but this attention to people I find really, really pleasing to the eye. Again, it's not just random people walking like you would sometimes see, like this is already more complex than what I see other people's do, but other people portray in their paintings, but this is really specific, right? You can really tell the people apart. Of course, the faces aren't there, that's fine, but I think the way it's portrayed is really interesting. Everyone's unique. I'm not sure how loyal to the reference it is because I don't have the reference here, but what I can say is that I can really tell them apart. You know, beautiful use of negative spaces, and in every painting what's present is that nuanced understanding of colors and color harmony. This is very different from the first one we've seen, for example. Yes, there's the greens, but look at these oranges and blues, very nuanced. And then look at this building here. It's just a gray, just a flat gray. The foliage as well really tells the story of perhaps a bit of a rainy day. It looks like there's some sun, but everything feels wet. It looks like a very, not tropical, maybe I guess is tropical climate. Which I quite like. You know, this is really interesting. The green here is not a green, it's a blue. By the way, this reads almost like a green traffic light. It's actually a blue. When you really zoom in on it, it's a blue. This illusion of color is just wonderful. Here's another one. These aren't the colors I would go to personally to paint, just generally speaking. I'm just commenting, like this purple and green, I'm not able to use them together, but this works perfectly. Look at the reflections. How masterful is that? Some areas through which the wet areas, right, have a clear reflection to them, and then the areas that are a little moist or a little drier, there's no puddles there, the reflection is very blurry. That's a wonderful effect. I have been able to personally create that effect from time to time, but as a part of a large scene to have it read so well is something I really appreciate. To me, that's like almost the subject of the painting itself. There's this huge looming building, and then there's all of the very selective way of portraying the reflections, which is fantastic. Look at this part of the car, how it blends with the green here. You'll have to forgive me, the quality of the photos isn't the best. Some of these I had to take as screenshots. But yeah, really, really cool. I know you can't see the edge here to the left, that's fine, but like this is fantastic, the way it blends together. This flat plane of the car is really brilliant. And by the way, I really, really like how these colors interact. You know, the yellow kind of flowing into the violet-y purple. Look at all of these details done kind of wet and wet. These are things I still have a very often hard time with as a part of a large scene where you have to think about a lot of things together. Just brilliant. Now I want to show you some more international scenes. This is clearly Venice, one would guess. And this interesting take on the way these gondolas look and the gondoliers. What I will say is, once again, personal, my personal opinion, the scenes that work best are those from Taipei, different places, that area, more than, let's say, Europe. But it's just my taste. I don't know, I can tell there's something more unique there, something that speaks to the artist more. I could be imagining things, of course. This is just my own personal impression, could be very wrong. But still, like, look at these combinations of green and red. Just wonderful. Usually when I look at scenes from Venice, it's not these colors, you know? These look like the colors that someone who grew up in a different place, with different foliage, with different perceptions of color, is applying to Venice, which is why I think it's really interesting to see artists paint places that aren't close to home. I'm not sure he's from Taiwan or anything like that. I'm just kind of, you know, throwing out guesses. It's very interesting to see when someone paints a scene that's not close to where they grew up. I think it brings out something interesting in them. Now, as far as I know, he could have been born in Venice, then moved to Taiwan. I have no idea, or never moved in any of, never lived in any of these locations. Again, I'm just throwing guesses out there. I think it's fascinating to see. Like, when I paint Venice, it looks a little different from when someone in Venice paints Venice. So I don't know. I find it very interesting. This, I believe, is Paris. I think, based on the shapes of these, what do you call it, houseman buildings and the awnings. But still, those colors, right? Those same colors, those same reds and deep, rich greens and blues, right? I wanted to, yeah, this is clearly, this looks like a Paris kind of newspaper or thing, stand. Or is it the poster stand? I think, poster board. I did want to show you a bit of a variety of scenes, right? Some scenes from above. And I know I don't do much research on the artists I portray. My apologies for that. It's just I enjoy the art. I don't really care much about the artist's personal life and stuff like that. But yeah. So once again, Paris from above. These lovely buses. Everything is kind of merged together really nicely. Everything tells a story. I like this feeling that it's very different from the previous scenes that felt more gloomy and rainy. Whenever the sky is gray, just a light gray that tells, to me, that tells the story of it's been raining and now it's not, and the sun came out, and I absolutely love that. It may be a little foggy, but still the sun is out, and to me that creates a wonderful impression. I think some of these were done opaquely again. I don't really care for the technique, it's just the overall impression to me. Now, when you look at these people, look at how many colors there are. It's fantastic, you know? Everything is very, it really tells the story. When you zoom out, you can really see the people and the different colors. And the decision, for example, this, like a small and simple decision like this is warm, kind of green-yellow. This is a bit more towards the clean green-blue. And that person, sure enough, wears orange against the blue, and that person wears blue against the yellow, right? It's these small decisions that really make it work as final details, right? I think the overall composition is way more important in the beginning. Look at the side of this bus. It's fantastic, you know? It's fantastic stuff. Here's another one. I discovered one of the first paintings. What can I say? You know, this is just wonderful. We have a couple more to go through and some more unique ones you'll see in a second. But to me, look at this golden, green, yellow. This is wonderful. All of the umbrellas, reflections, everything together, the way it tells the story. The way of handling these branches, making them feel organic and so good looking. This is fantastic. Honestly, I haven't seen many paintings that are similar to that, in that clever, you know, nuanced connections and color choices. When you look at these nuanced colors for the clothing, it's not just like, you know, blue and yellow and red like I tend to do, and even that is more than some other people choose to. This is a very specific green. This is a very specific orange. This is a very specific kind of muted pink. You know, these are very, to me, it feels like very conscious color choices that come from years of understanding of and experience. So just fantastic. Here's another, this is a unique one, you know, a bit of a landscape, but still with people walking that trail. I find that wonderful. It does show the artist's strength in multiple subject matter. This is very different from what we've seen so far. This forest, you know, when I look at it, it really tells me the story of, like I would say some of these trees are very old, ancient trees. A lot of this is really, it feels really untempered with very natural, you know, the stairs could have been natural tree branch stairs for all I know, even though it does look like there's actual stairs there. What they're carrying, the walking sticks, or I don't know what, there's probably a word for that, the large backpacks. And you know how this forest recedes into the background, very clever. All of the bottom section, very clever use of opaque paint. I bet you this is all opaque paint. Greens can be very confusing for many. I still get confused by greens unless I'm very, very, very intentional. What you see here, it works. Look at all of the, you see the rocks here, they're brown. Then you have this green, then a bit of yellow within the green to show it's a bit more shiny. Then you have these larger leaves that are more of a bluish green. The use of different hues of color here is just fantastic. Same for the clothes and the backpacks, right? It's all, and I don't know if he's just following the colors he's seeing or he's enhancing them. I have a suspicion he's enhancing them. I suspect he's enhancing the colors and these aren't the original colors. So I may give more credit than actually is deserved, but that's to me the way it looks. It's very rare to see reality in such pretty colors. I think that's all the artist's success and knowledge. Here's another one that I thought was really cool because it shows the people from up close. So it's not just, you know, people from afar, up top from a street scene. This is a little more zoomed in, a little more, you can see the details. I would guess that's somewhere in Italy. That kind of looks like it. Some kind of a fountain, maybe Florence, maybe, I don't know, maybe Venice. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know. It could be France, could be Paris, could be many different places. I know Paris is in France. Just use these two words. Look at this statue here in the shadow, right? The shadow is purpley, kind of bluish, dark. The statue is more of a light gray. That's clever. You don't see much of this. The shadows on this statue are green, right? It's very, very clever, in my opinion. And I think we have two more. So this one I thought was cool. This, I believe it's Mount Fuji. I think that was the name of the painting even. Just look at how whenever you get snow and it's kind of a cool, snowy, whether it's cityscape or landscape, look at the blue. The blue all of a sudden becomes more dominant. Like this is a really, really nice blue here. Not this is violet purple, but this blue is really nice, you know? And again, orange and green, lots of beautiful, I guess, secondary colors, right? Very clever, very, very clever. And last one, this one just shines. I mean, it's beautiful. I think this is Paris, if I had to guess. Although it could be somewhere in Italy, I'm not sure. But still, you have this beautiful green here down at the bottom, green, gold. You know, if you look at the colors of the shadow, quote unquote, look at how wonderful it is. It goes from this blue, green, to a yellow, to a warm red, brown, and then onto bright yellows, right? Very clever use of the colors. Look at these nice blues in the window catching the reflection from the sky. These, who would have thought to make these purely yellow? You know, there's just the interpretation of the colors is wonderful. These aren't the original colors. You can really place good money on it. I don't think these are close to the original colors. I don't think this is the original colors exaggerated. I think this is just different color choices. So in any case, this is it. Wu Sih Shian, fantastic painter. I absolutely love his work. Check it out. I'm going to put links to his Instagram, you know, website, whatever. You can check out some of the artworks there. I think the main thing I'm taking from this is, wow, there are so many color combos I can make use of. And if I maybe dare a bit to even limit myself to 3 colors, but 3 colors I'm not used to using, a lot of interesting things could happen with them. There's a lot of clever simplification too that we barely touched upon when it comes to the cars mostly. We talked about it in the context of cars, but it can be applied to the people here as well. There's a beautiful element of simplifying the shapes that I find really appealing in his work. And yeah, this is it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in a comment down below your thoughts, and most importantly, who do you want me to feature next? I do look at all the recommendations. This is an artist I discovered about a couple of months ago, I would say, and then someone a couple of days ago asked me if I can feature them, and I was like, yes, I did want to feature them. So I do take your recommendations into consideration for sure. Let me know. We'll talk to you again real soon. And did I want to say anything else? Yeah, I want to thank everyone who supports me over on Patreon. That's it. I don't like to market products or anything like that too much, but I do feel like I always owe gratitude to those who support my work. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.